Hello, my wavy souls. Welcome back to the Wavy Self podcast, where we talk about the healing connection through expression and the endless complexities that come along with it. This past weekend, I attended Seismic Dance event in Austin, Texas, and I had to take the opportunity to sit down with my two girlies, Ciara Castro and Cici Stamper, to ask and have a conversation around getting performance ready. I know this topic alone is a conversation that maybe a lot of you listening have been curious about. If you follow my shuffle journey, you've seen me perform for festivals like Seismic Dance Event in the past, Groove Cruise, Hard Summer, EDC Las Vegas, EDC Orlando, and in my respectives, just like Ciara and Cici, they've also cultivated their own performances and have been in the space for a couple years now. Ciara being someone who cultivated shuffle performers at Seismic Dance Event, this festival that happens in Austin, Texas, and Cici, who's been able to work with other artists like Aldover Heldens really closely, and being able to come together this weekend meant so much in a full circle type of energy. We were missing Lauren Carraza, who is our fourth shuffle girly. We collectively, all four of us, create our group called the Shuffle Girlies, which is a group of us who stand with being the caliber for shuffle performances and being passionate and studious around our dance and our leadership roles in how we show up in the world. And it's really, honestly, it's so beautiful because I think we're just being ourselves. We're just being girlies with one another, and that's what created Shuffle Girlies. Is we found these commonalities, these common passions and outlooks to then realize that we can actually cultivate things together. And you hear us talk about this a lot in the conversation with Ciara, Cici, and I, is just how we were able to merge together our ideas and our explorations and our taking risks and, finding our path in an unprecedented industry. Shuffling is still a nuanced dance. And what makes it so special talking about this conversation is that we are also just figuring things out as you are witnessing us figuring them out. It's like you can probably see the content just looking very excited. I mean, I get excited about watching my own content, just being able to capture the moments that I'm experiencing throughout the festivals. It's really special. And in the same breath, it's like we really wanted you to be this fourth person in the room, to just tune into the way that we talk, the things that we view and how we view them when it comes to showing up performance ready and the things leading up to that weekend. I truly hope that by me bringing on my two girlies, that we can bring you this value that you can resonate with, and hopefully everything lands for you. And also I want to just stress the importance on really going inward, and everything that we're speaking to, really, really take that homework of being introspective and asking yourself, why do you want to perform? Because for each and every one of us, it means different things, and it means something very deeply foundational for us. And through that foundation, through that devotion to what means a lot to us, we've been able to manifest these opportunities, these experiences, these fun, unserious but serious explorations and adventures together. And so that's something that I really want to honor my two girlfriends, Ciara and Cici, is their devotion to the professionalism, the respectable recognition that shuffle performing deserves. And it's a really special space and unique way to share this with you guys. So my lovely souls, please enjoy this episode. Please keep in mind, keep an open heart to receive and to see us for who we are in our vulnerable state as we have this conversation. And this is a really good conversation that I'm personally really excited about to be able to share with y'all. And give you this greater perspective on what it means to perform on stages and the grit and the fun and the dance that you get to do with yourself, your intentions, your wholeness, and also, taking that entertainment perspective, that lens of what it looks like from the outside looking in. And so enjoy this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi guys, welcome back to the Wavy Self podcast. Today I have my girlies in C's studio actually, and we're actually on day 3 of Seismic. So these two girls I met a long time ago working through an energy company, and they've done their own thing, but together we've also done festivals, performances, raves. We've just done so many things together and apart, and I wanted to bring them on here to talk about their expression and how they've unraveled that through the years, just in the shuffle space alone. But as people, as women in the space, it's so empowering to watch them grow and witness them in their power. And I wanted to bring them on to ask them some questions, because I know everybody listening is really interested in how we've been able to show up on the stage, how we've been able to just have that confidence alone. And yeah, hopefully we can bring y'all in here. So Ciara, Cici, Ciara, if you want to start and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. So happy to be here. My name is Ciara Castro, born and raised in Texas. As Sterling said, we're sitting in my new studio. I'm a co-owner of Shuffle HQ, and met these girls. I think we really started to get close around 2021, and the projects just kept rolling. We did a lot of projects together, a lot of projects as individuals, and it's been so sweet. But I primarily teach here in Austin, Texas. I perform. My residency is at Concourse Music Project. The Seismic Dance Event is another festival that we dance at annually. And that's basically it. I mean, so much more juice in that, but having a ball over here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cici. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Sterling. I live in Los Angeles. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. I teach weekly shuffle classes in LA as well as online, and I travel and teach and have been performing for past couple of years. Yeah, maybe 3 years. And I met these girls through Bang Energy. Yeah. And what else? I think I met Sterling like first, forever ago. Yeah. And then C later on down the journey, and then we reconnected and have been really close. I love working with them, and I love just doing life with them too.
Doing life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's crazy to think about Bang Energy back then, because I feel like over the years, there's just been like a huge transformation for all of us, but Bang Energy as well. I think the first question I want to ask with performing in general, I feel like we've all kicked off together, but I think ultimately you, Ciara, here in Texas have like taken that forward, and then Cici with Oliver Heldens, and you guys have really just taken it off. So I want to know, and anybody who's listening wants to know, how did you guys get to stand on stage today, this weekend, and cultivate being paid as a shuffle performer specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. Here in Austin, specifically, Kelly Gray has been a really, really huge vessel in making opportunities happen. Kelly Gray is the owner of Concourse Music Project, the owner of Real Music Events, Go Go Gadgets, which is the agency I'm a part of, and Cici, and you as an extension. But we connected years ago, and through feeling empowered, she kind of just asked me to dance a little bit more. And 2021 was the first time I officially got up on stage at Seismic Dance Event Fall Edition. And since then, it's been a ball. And then, of course, did different projects with the girls. We did EDC Las Vegas together, Hard Summer, some groove cruises. So it's been a really amazing journey. But between my background of cheerleading, being here in Texas, having an awesome venue to showcase my freestyling at, it was just like the perfect formula for me, is what I feel like. Mm-hmm.
Me? Okay. I think with my shuffle journey, starting with traveling with this energy drink company. We had a DJ that would play on stage, and we would kind of like entertain a crowd in different cities at these like nutrition conventions. And that kind of sparked the inspiration to like want to take it longer or do it like more professionally, like in a setting where it's like at a festival. So it was something that I knew that I wanted to do for like ever, whatever. Yeah. And then C gave me this opportunity at Hard Summer. She reached out to me. It was like the summer after COVID. So like the world was kind of coming back together. And she asked me to come and perform at Hard Summer with her, Sterling, a whole group of us. And then I kind of realized that me and C were kind of trying to do the same thing. So we kind of had teamed up at that point. And then I did a show with Sterling at EDC Orlando. So it was like we all kind of had this like inkling of how can we make this a thing and make it more serious, or how can we put our art like on a stage? And from there, I feel like it just took like the collaboration of us together, creating content and then making opportunities happen for us. And I'm like a really goal-driven person. So I talk to my manager every like December going into January of like my goals for the year. And after that show with C and the one with Sterling at EDCO, I was like, I really just want to try and perform all next year. I wanted to shift my direction from the things I was doing then. I think like classes and stuff online to trying to travel and teach and do performances. And so from there, we just kind of put together like a little plan of how to push that forward. And it ended up being really successful. And I have traveled and performed the past couple of years, whether it's like different festivals or with different artists and with these girls as well. So yeah.
That made me think about a time, like looking at my own perspective and your own perspective and your perspective, but we were doing things together, like really diving into these new projects. And like from someone who didn't come from a dance background, you came from cheerleading, Ciara, and Cici came from dance background. What kind of advice would you give for someone? Like I know from your guys' lives experiences, there's a lot of girls who are feeling like they're not good enough, feeling like they have like a really back set on not having that background. So how would you want to, what would you want to tell them to, I don't know, step forward and have that confidence and stepping on stage? From my experience being on stages, it was more of like this, finding my expression and being authentic on stage, but also just knowing the standard of being a performer. So what kind of advice would you have for them, those girls who haven't had the years in dance?
So for me, the cheerleading background has applied a lot of technicality, and I'm just huge on music theory, huge on professionalism in a sense. So coming into the dance world, I've actually learned a lot from the people around me, including Cici, because she does bring in so much knowledge about just, again, professionalism, what you can do here, even just how to do a simple body roll. So I think advancing my dance has been huge. Even the past 3 years, I've seen me really transform into a more confident, stepping into my power type of dancer. And I might be getting a little off track here, but for me, I think really believing in yourself and understanding that you can have your own look. I think we feel really empowered because we're freestylers. And so it is only our job to go up there and absolutely rock everyone's world. We have no other job but to get up there and completely embody the music that you're hearing and find this balance of, yes, putting out some moves, specifically in shuffling, your running man, your T-step, just some nice solid moves, but also tapping into this musicality and this fun aspect, being a little bit animalistic, being a little wild, throwing some battle rounds, getting on the floor, crawling around like a little kitty cat on that platform. I mean, absolutely go wild. And knowing that you can do that, I think is very important. Don't put yourself in a box, but also understanding it's a little bit more than just shuffling. You kind of have to be a shuffler, develop that foundation, and then go a little crazy past that. Like expand, take some lessons, go to hip hop, take some go-go lessons, and really think how you can become this expansive dancer and how can you set yourself apart from everyone else. I like to think that anytime I'm dancing and who I dance with or the teams that I'm on, if you cover ourselves and you just see our silhouette, every one of us is really easily identifiable. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recognizable.
Recognizable. So just staying unique and working on your craft. And then, of course, standing tall, pick your head up, keep your chin up because you are a performer, baby. You have to put on a show and everyone enjoys watching you dance. And so I think also just soaking up that energy live and empower yourself. Hope that makes a little sense.
I think the thing for me that makes shuffle performing so special is that it's bringing our dance that we would normally do in a crowd at a meetup or something onto stage with the artist. And kind of like the vision that I had years ago was like having that side by side not only supports the artist but helps the dancers like the co-creation between the two and putting them next to each other. I feel like that is so special. So when it comes to training for that, or if your goal is to get on stage, I would say just connecting with your freestyle and your dance as much as possible and not trying to fit in a box or try to be like anybody else, because I feel like you get the furthest just by being yourself. And when dance can be so unison of like trying to look like everybody else, I feel like these opportunities that have happened for each of us individually or other shufflers has come from who they are and the way that they move instead of trying to fit in and be like somebody else. I'm really big on professionalism when it comes into a space. Like I take the opportunities that I get really seriously, and like working alongside with these girls, I know that they'll say the same just about like the way that you show up and carry yourself and how you talk about the environment that you're in. Like sometimes we walk in and I've done shows where I don't even have a space to dance, and it's like, oh, you can go in that corner on the floor in the front, and just like having a good attitude about like working with the stage manager, working with the artist of like, where can we fit in and make it work? Because it's not a thing that's like super common. There's obviously go-go dancing, and then you have like the dancers that tour with, pop and R&B and hip hop artists. But when it comes to EDM and like house techno music, I feel like getting shufflers on stage, we're always just grateful for the opportunity to be there. And however long we're given, we're just like taking the time that we have to be grateful and share our dance there. And you're not always going to feel in your pocket, but it's just adjusting and knowing that the way that you're feeling inside isn't probably how people are interpreting you. But I think when it comes to getting back like on stage, getting back on track with the question, I think just connecting with the community around you, if you're looking up to someone specifically, an artist or whoever's dancing with them, or if you see someone has that connection, reaching out to them. I feel like with me specifically, like when I like wanted this for myself, it wasn't just for me, it was for other people. So it's like whenever I have an opportunity to bring in other dancers, or if I know that an artist needs dancers somewhere, I'm always looking for people, whether it's in my classes or online. So I feel like the opportunities are there. It's just about connecting and putting it out there into the universe, and just knowing that whatever you want, you can have. I'm like really big into goal setting, like I said before, but I just feel like putting it out there into the universe, even if you're just learning how to shuffle now, just know that anything is possible with like the time and effort that you put in. And yeah, I think that.
Yeah, and it's about setting the intention.
Yeah.
Why do you want this? Really being introspective of like, why are you going after this goal? Because when you come to something like a stage and you've worked really hard for this, like for me, for instance, my whole goal about being on stage was all about finding myself. And there was also moments where I lost myself wanting to perform for other people, where it can be a dance between both your intention, your heart-centered space, and having this dance with the public, because it is at the end of the day about performing and entertaining other people. And that's what I think is like what you spoke to about being that wild feminine, being that craziness, being that full unapologetic self to take up space, and just technically speaking to like learning how to take up room on the platform, learning how to take up space with your upper body, learning how to just be the dance, be the interpretation of the music that you're hearing, and being in your sense of self-worth to be there on that stage. So I love this conversation.
That's so good. Can I add one more thing? Because you guys are like ding, 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 ding. Just emphasizing the freestyle part of it, just being wild and like knowing, like work on your freestyle dance and be nuts. And our only job is to go up there and completely embody the music, interpret the live sounds. Because a question I've also gotten is, do we know what the set is going to be? Do we know when the song, do we choreograph? Do we know timestamps? And the answer is no. Except for like when I've worked with Cici and Oliver, you don't know what's coming up, but of course they had a really good system of like, what like points in those set where Oliver might want something highlighted. But aside that, it is completely off the top of the dome. And so just being ready for that, because I just posted on my story like an hour ago too. I was like, shuffling is a freestyle dance. Let your wings fly. Because it's so true. You just want to stay wild and I
feel like that's almost when it looks best too. So that's like why I feel like when training, like there are so many different types of classes, but understanding your freestyle is going to take you way further than just being able to learn people's choreography. And I have learned that so much throughout my dance, because I wasn't trained as a kid to be able to freestyle. People would be like, oh, Cici's a dancer, like show us a dance move. And I would like do a pirouette. So when I found shuffling, I feel like it really helped me find my confidence, because it is freestyle. And it's like, now I have so many things that I could implement into my dance, and sometimes we're just thrown up there. Like yesterday we were taking photos and they were like, we need the girls on this stage in 5 minutes. We hadn't warmed up or anything, but it's like a professional setting and a job. It's not like we can be like, oh, I haven't stretched, or oh, I have to do this. We like have to be there and get there and just do the best that we can. And the training, the way that we train really helps us just be able to adapt in any situation. If the music's fast or if it's slow, or if like you get up there and you have like a 3-minute long build where the artist is just like, teasing the crowd, you have to be able to adapt and just like,
yeah. That brings me to the next question is, what's your routine looking like approaching an event?
So for me, it depends on the show that I'm doing or the artist that I'm working with. If it's like a specific show with like Oliver Heldens or like the Craze show that we did at EDC, I feel like I listen to their music a lot and I only will sesh to that music so that I know majority of like what is going to be played, as well as connecting with that artist specifically and just knowing, like C said, the timestamps of when we're going to go. With Oliver specifically, I'll have different choreographies that I'll do, different points of the set. Or he'll tell me beforehand, like, this song's coming out, if you could get up for this one, XYZ, and just training to those songs beforehand so I know what's to come. And then when it's something like concourse or like a show here, I feel like it really comes back to freestyling. Like if I haven't seshed in a while alone, just like with my music on to just any type of music, because we don't really know what we're getting, just practicing freestyling at home. And then always getting in classes is good too. I feel like I dance way better when I'm like learning somebody else's pocket, or just like collaborating with other people. So I feel like just staying moving and then, hydrating, eating, sleeping, making sure that we're showing up, well rested and able to do our job, because it is really taxing. Sometimes we're dancing like multiple sets back to back for hours. So
yeah. For me, preparing for a set or something, like Cici said, I love to eat and I love to sleep. And that's really important. Remembering your priority and remembering why we're there. And so I think it just ties into this idea of professionalism. We show up on time, we're ready to go. Our bags are packed with whatever we need. And maybe seshing to the artist beforehand if we have an idea. If not, if we're coming into a festival like we are today, day 3, baby. If we're coming into a festival, we're just prepped with our mind. For me personally, just to stay inspired, I think there has to just be work done with yourself and knowing what keeps you inspired. That can be new music. That can sometimes, maybe you don't even have inspiration. Maybe you just have discipline. And maybe that looks like getting up and seshing even when you don't feel like it. But keeping your pocket alive is really important. And just remembering your why, maybe to remember why you're here, to never take the moment for granted, and to just take care of your dance. I think that's really important so we don't get lost. We always remember why we love what we do. And it seriously just reflects in our dance. Like we got off the first set that Cici just talked about that we had like minimal time to warm up for, but we know our job. So we get up there and we got down. I'm not kidding. I got 3 text messages after those
such
rounds.
a good vibe.
Everyone was nuts. I have goosebumps right now. I got 2 texts immediately, and then later on in the night, people said they cried when they saw us up there. And I think it was just such a great starter, but we were ready to go. Our minds were excited to be there. So it's like a spirit thing. It's a physical thing, prepping your body. It's just a little formula.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I love the idea of seshing, like looking at the lineup of the show and training to their sets. And yeah, just anticipation, like the BPMs, training for the BPMs. When I'm leading up to the event, I like to just practice my foundations, and then I just look at whatever pockets I'm really scared to go down. Like if I'm not comfy doing floor work, if it's been a while, I'll just play with being on the floor, rolling on the floor. Even if I don't, like, I'm not trying to memorize anything, I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just trying to get my body familiar with the moment and being present with my body. So
That's so good.
Yeah, finding that comfort in your body, taking up space. Some people did ask questions.
Ooh.
How do you keep your stamina endurance up?
Good question. Make sure you're breathing. You can find like rhythm in your breathing, like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And also just not being afraid of the slow moments. In the middle of a round, sometimes I'll just do like a cutesy little gallop, and then I'll start like a feminine walk. I'll play with someone in the crowd. I'll take a seat, throw my head back, and then I'll jump back into the running man. And then also once the music is on, you like have to go because your adrenaline is so up. But when I get off the stage, I'm like,
Yes.
hands
Like
on
you
the
just ran the
knees.
track.
Yes. But when you're up there, you're good. But I love to not be afraid of the slow moments because that's what I've needed to work on personally in my dance experience. And I've also learned a lot from Cici and those, a lot of like head rolls. But yeah.
Yeah.
I've learned to not kill myself right away because I used to be like so excited to get up there that
Yeah.
I would be like so dead in the first 30 seconds. And I'd be like looking at Ciara like, can we get down? Can we get down? I'm gonna die. But yeah, so just taking my time to like find the groove of the music. Sometimes you'll get up there and it will be really intense right away, or sometimes you have like a little bit of build. But I'm huge on musicality and just like making sure I'm in the pocket with the music. If you're hearing something, catching it the next time it comes around. And lots of caffeine. I feel like I'm always like slamming caffeine left and right. And just like, I feel like I have a natural high of being able to be there and be in the environment. And when I'm down watching the other girls go, I feel like I'm like getting like inspiration, or I'm feeding off of watching them to be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go. Or I'll have these moments of like, we've come so far, like we're so lucky to be here. And I feel like that gratitude carries me so far because whether it's before or after a show, I always feel super emotional being able to have the opportunities that I have. I've like come off shows and full blown cried. I've been so nervous that I've thrown up halfway through, you know, so I feel like it's just a lot of emotions are happening that, yeah, when it comes to stamina, it's a whole thing. But yeah, not killing yourself and then practicing a lot before. I'll notice that if I haven't sessioned or like been doing cardio, my stamina will be down like not
significantly.
as significantly. Yeah. But yeah.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, like what you were saying is like feeding and milking the slow moments when you're training. When you're training too, like just seeing how long you can go, even when you're tired, to just not stop abruptly, just keep going, keep your body moving. I think that's what's helped me the most, is keeping my spirits up even when I'm taxed the fuck out, because your body can always go a little further more than you think.
Right. We're capable of more than we realize.
Yeah.
And milking, when you said the word milk right now, that was the word in my head because I underestimated at first how slow you can move. Groove for a whole 8 count. Who's going to tell you otherwise? Like 1, 2,
Sometimes
3,
it's the best
4.
part of the whole set.
It is the
when you're
best.
just like in that pocket.
It's sick. Milk moments and know that you look good doing it.
Yeah.
Can I add one thing?
Please.
When you're training and practicing, if you have like some specific artist, I think that it's really good to like visualize that you're already doing it. Cause I remember like back during COVID when I was like locked in my apartment, I would like perform for the city. Like
Oh my
I had
gosh, you
these like
would.
big windows. I would. And I would like
the
go on my
skyrise.
live and I would straight up be like performing as if I was on stage, because then you're like getting those reps in beforehand. Or I would do like the quick story and like do like my whole performance and then like post that. And I feel like that carries you really far too, because I notice a difference when I'm not doing that and when I'm doing it. And also just the visualization that you're getting, acting like you're already there, even if you're like outside or like in your apartment or whatever, it takes you far. Cause then like sometimes I'll be in my round and that like groove will come back or something. And I'm like, I haven't done that in forever. But my body knows it. And it's that muscle memory that will come back.
Yeah, being in that pocket. Oh my God, you said something. That's what is so cool about us, is that we really connected with social media. It is about performing. It is about creating the content. And like when I'm training, I do the visualization too, just like picturing like the cold, cool breeze, the stars, the lights,
the people.
And there's like full like hour and a half live sets of like pretty much every single artist out there. So you're going to hear their transitions, you're going to hear the tempo change, you're going to hear all these things. And that's exactly what it's like real time. So using those sets, that's like always been the best way for me to practice.
Oh, you even hear the people screaming in those live sets too. And that's insane. It's just so good.
It's like manifesting. You're just like visualizing and then you're there the next day.
Because if you've never been there, you're not going to do it. And then like you said, if your body has never touched a groove, how do you expect to do something cool on stage? And how do you expect to get on the floor on stage if you're not playing with it at home? You just have to put yourself through the ringer first.
I think that's the biggest misconception with a lot of shufflers, like people in the shuffle space. Like they just think like, just shuffling, I want to be on stage, I want to perform for the biggest artists. But like how? If you're not studying, if you're not training, if you're not
understanding,
if you're not locked in, you got to like study. You got to study. And
it's like a full body thing too. Because if you get there and you only have your fundamentals under your feet and you feel uncomfortable with your upper body, sometimes you can't see my feet.
Right.
Sometimes like like, we had these barriers the first day that were like covering our feet. And I was telling the girls I was like killing myself with like shape combos. And I was like, I don't even know I'm doing that because my upper body is just like holding right, left, or like my arms are like flailing a little. And all you can see is you can't see anything but my upper body. And then I'll get videos back and I'm like, oh my God. And so those are like the things where I make notes and I'm like, when you're there, having the awareness to be like, can they see my feet? Am I above the crowd? Am I below?
Right.
Am I right next to the booth? Like, you know, just different situations that you're put in. But being able to utilize your whole upper body, that flow is what's going to take you so much further, because as much as it is about the fundamentals with our feet, it's also like an overall freestyle dance with our upper body, with our heads, with everything. So
Totally.
So good.
Presence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So for girls who are really wanting to pursue this art form, how would you advise them to finding their people? Because I know that there's other pockets of spaces where they feel really isolated and
Yeah.
not supported. They're just really struggling to find their girls to feel, you know, like I feel like when we connected, we just like did so many things. I mean,
Yeah.
y'all together
Yeah, we
did a lot
did.
of things, but like just and all the projects, all the things. When
Yeah.
we're together, it just feels like Super Saiyan mode.
It does. And in a way, I feel so blessed to be with you girls because I dreamed about relationships like this growing up. I personally moved around a lot. So, kind of holding relationships throughout my childhood was difficult for that reason. But coming into my 20s and especially like connecting with you guys and then Lala and even Lara here at
Hi,
Concourse,
Lara.
like we really do have special people. With that being said, I think we also cultivate that. And I think we're really keen on creating a safe space for ourselves and for each other. So, first of all, I recognize that I do feel very lucky. How can girls like find their people though? I think showing up as your like true authentic self is step number one, and like trusting the process that if someone is not for you or if a space doesn't feel right, there is other room for more opportunities and you seriously can create your own tribe or just be the example. I've always kind of wrote it back to being the example, not just in performing, but in other spaces of shuffling, because I like to be in the battle space and the education space. And my heart can feel certain ways. My ego can go up and down. But at the end of the day, I just try and bring it back home to myself. What am I trying to do? And what am I trying to create? And that is always shine through. And at the end of the day, if that gives a little bit of insight. Yeah.
I would say putting yourself out there and connecting with other people that have those connections, like I said before.
Yeah.
I think in the past, like people have reached out to me like, I really want to dance for Oliver Heldens. And I'm really encouraging of coming to my classes, because I feel like when I'm pulling dancers for classes and or for performances and stuff, it's usually like people that I'm around or training with me. Or like when it's like concourse with C, it's like it's the immediate people that are like in her classes and like training with her. I think putting yourself out there and telling people like, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. Asking your peers for advice or like leaders in the community, you know, like if you really want to get into battling, like reaching out to see if it's performance in Austin, like I feel like she's the connection for that. Just different things like that. And then just knowing that putting yourself out there, like no one's going to know that you have those goals unless you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can feel like a thing where it's like, maybe you're like doubting like, oh, she would never want to help me or she'd never give me an opportunity or whatever. But I feel like sometimes that can be the thing that people would think, but it's not really the case, because it's like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like it's a community thing. Like if I have an opportunity to if I have the chance to give somebody else an opportunity, I feel like I love that. Like I want to always share and educate or give connections when I can, or just be like a guide in a way. So I feel like getting into classes, connecting with the people that you know have the connections that you want. And if you're in a space where it doesn't feel good or it feels unprofessional, just know that there's other spaces that aren't going to feel like that, and never like force something. Like I feel like sometimes it's you're forced into a space, or you think that you want to be a part of something, and then maybe the community doesn't treat you well, or maybe you don't vibe with the girls in the group or whatever. And I just feel like there's so much opportunity and so many things to be done and to be a part of, that just find the ones that align with you. I think when I came together with these girls, we were all so supportive and kind of in the same space of trying to do the same thing without even realizing it, that the second we like look side to side, we're like, oh my God, we're all trying to do this. And like, it would be easier for us to work together than us trying to like pin against each other. And I don't know, I'm like such a girl's girl, a community girl. Like any chance I have to be like, see, there we need a girl for this show, or Sterling, can we do this festival together or whatever. I'm big on like, you create the opportunities for yourself, and I'm been told no 1,000 times and definitely cried about it and been like heartbroken over things. But moving on the next day and being like, okay, just because somebody doesn't want it doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to want it. Just because I messed up this one time doesn't mean I can't circle back and do better next time. So I think it's like been like a huge learning thing for me. But if I have the opportunity to share that with other people or make that dream come true for somebody else, I feel like just reaching out to us and connecting with us, because it's not something that it's just like for us, it's like it's like a movement for everybody to have those opportunities. So I feel like whether it's connecting with us or other people that you're inspired by who have similar opportunities, or maybe it doesn't even have to be like shuffle related, maybe it's something else, but just knowing that like people usually want to help out, and if they don't, they're weird. So
Yeah, it
So
doesn't make sense. We're
real.
better together.
We are
always
so
better
much
together. Yeah.
collaborative.
And I think, oh yeah, go ahead.
Just when you said that we get a lot of no's, I think like just emphasizing that we've gotten a lot of no's and a lot of spaces where we have to like reroute what we want to do. And because you might see, the viewer might see all the yeses, the cool videos, because of course. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of work to get there. So just know that if you feel like you're hitting walls or you feel discouraged, there's so much more avenues to take. So just keep pushing and stay in your pocket. Just, keep going.
That's a good point, that in the shuffle space, because it's so small, and like I feel like every single year it's just pushed further and further into this recognition in the dance and music industry. I feel like for a lot of people it feels like one person's doing one thing and that's the only opportunity, and if you don't have a good connection with that person, you feel discouraged, like you feel like there's no way
so
for an
true, but
opportunity.
there's so many different people that do it, and it pops up every single day.
We've all created our own opportunities.
And that's like the most beautiful part about it is like sometimes it's not even in our direct circle, and we're like over here asking and doing all these festivals and stuff, and like who can do this, whatever. But then I'll see it online. I'll see like Gabby J. David somewhere. I saw Coda and Mur somewhere. I saw Rain somewhere. It's like popping up everywhere. So I feel like every single time there's like a move forward for the community, it's a win for everybody. Because at one point it wasn't, and it was like everybody getting told no, or it's like we go up and then they pull us down. Like my first show with Oliver, the security escorted me out, and I was like there and I got the okay from everybody. And then it's like I could have just been like, oh my god, like nobody wants this, but it's just moving forward and being like, it's for some artists, it's not for some, it's for some festivals, it's not for some, but it's just keeping going and just sharing that information with each other too, of like, this was my experience, what was yours, whatever. The more that we share, the more that we can create more things moving forward, and always leading like with professionalism.
Big team players.
Yeah. And when it's going into the friendship part of like cultivating your actual girlfriend group, I think a lot of it does, I don't think a lot of people talk about this, but it does take a lot of vulnerability and responsibility and ownership into like your own actions and like how we're creating these experiences together. Like I feel like we've gone through our own trials and tribulations of getting to know each other. It is about building rapport together. And for a lot of the girls who are listening who feel a little bit discouraged in finding your girl group, yes, it can be like they may not be your people, but also like if your heart is yearning for that relationship, lean into it more. Where can you take more ownership? Where can you take responsibility? And where can you be more honest and authentic with that communication with your person? If you see this magic, this light within these girls that you want to be friends with, share that light, share that reflection to them, and just be forthcoming and lean into it more.
So good.
So someone did ask questions about your anxiety. Anytime that you felt like challenged in your self-worth on stage, or like, can you share a little bit about those specific memories and how you overcame them?
I have a lot with anxiety, which I didn't really realize I was an anxious person. And I don't like to say like I have anxiety or I am anxious, but I have realized that having some of the opportunities that I have had where I'm put in a situation where I go up to dance and it's a huge crowd in front of me. I have like my experience at the Brooklyn Mirage. I was so nervous. I couldn't even eat before. And then I get there and I go up and then I came down and I was like throwing up between rounds because I was so anxious. And I feel like that to me, I was like, I have never been that type of person. I'm really confident. I love to dance. I love to perform. But I think just the pressure of being in a situation like that, having so many people watching me in like a venue like that, also knowing it's being recorded and knowing that, I don't know, I feel like I have the pressure of like, if it doesn't go well, are they not going to have shufflers again? If it goes well, whatever. And just like so much relying on that gives me anxiety of like wanting to do a really good job being a good representation of my community and being really just like the best dancer that I can be for those opportunities. And that has happened to me at a lot of shows where I get really anxious, I can't eat before, or I'm like feeling sick. I think it's because I'm like really grateful for the opportunity and I don't want to do anything to ever lose it. But just knowing that like as the more I move and dance, like the rounds get better. Or like when it's coming to concourse, it's like a very family environment that if I'm ever feeling that way, it's like moving my body, doing some jumping jacks, like hugging the girls around me and just knowing that everything is going to be fine. And it's like specific shows that I will get that anxiety. I think it's when I feel a lot of pressure or like a lot is like relying on me to perform well, or just knowing that I'm like have an opportunity, you know, that I want to continue on forever, and I want people to see it and be like, oh my gosh, we should do more of this. And I don't want to ever mess it up. And I have always had like this internalized like being hard on myself, or like I can always do so much better. I should have trained more. I should have slept more. So just knowing that like whatever the circumstances are when you show up and whatever the outcome is the way that it's supposed to be. That's helped me a lot. Just knowing that I'm always going to do the best that I can in the situations that I'm in. And the community around me is always so supportive. Like even if I'm like freaking out inside, I feel like everyone's always cheering and excited. Even if I just go up and do the Running Man, they're like, oh my God, that girl is so good. And I'll inside be like thinking that I'm so bad. And I talk about like the your mind connection to your dance in my shuffle classes a lot, about how that internal dialogue can really tear you down if it's thinking like I'm not doing well, or I'm like I'm not using my arms enough, or I'm in the same pocket for too long. Nobody else is really realizing that except for you. And sometimes we can be bringing ourselves down in a situation that we could be bringing ourselves up in. That's like, I'm so excited to be here. So grateful. My dance feels so good right now. So sometimes it's like extremely internalized. And I feel like I've had a lot of situations with my own, just like understanding myself more when I'm put in these like high pressure situations, to just be able to calm myself down and know that everything's okay no matter what. And I think it all just comes from, I'm like really grateful to have the opportunity and don't want to ever lose it. Yeah.
That's so good. For me, I immediately think about two different situations where I was freaking out. One,
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Okay.
Oh my God.
No, this moment was insane. But in the moment, I was proud of myself for how I recovered. And I'll say the story
Did
right
you
now.
kick the thing?
I kicked
Yeah,
the
I thought
thing.
so.
Guys, it was insane. Okay, so I was dancing with Cici and Oliver at LA Historic Park.
Yeah.
And there was two of us dancing, right?
And this was like the first time I got to bring another dancer with me, and I
know.
was so excited. And me and Ciara like practicing days beforehand. We have all these choreographies. We got separate platforms, and then when we got there, I was like, "Can we actually dance on the platform in the front?" Remember that? I was like, they had us in the back, and I was like, "But next to the decks would be better, please." And for those people that haven't been in these situations, there's like equipment everywhere, and if we normally we'll have like an insurance for the day that covers us if we like wreck some of the equipment. And I have had situations where I've like stepped on headphones, I've like hit the decks, whatever.
You have stepped on Oliver's
I
headphones.
have stepped on his headphones. Yeah. And it's just like a oops. And it's never been something where it's been bad where like it affects the music or anything until this.
Oh my gosh. So I'm up there with Oliver right next to him, real cute, right?
It was like her second round, I think, or maybe her first on the platform alone, because we were doing rounds, 2 in the back, 1 in the front, and I had gone first. We did the round in the back, and then I think you went up front.
It was so sick. It was literally right next to Oliver, because we know that like
Oliver
Oliver
plug the video
loves that showcase. No, I've never posted this video because there was a lot of shame sitting on it in the beginning, which I think is a
there
whole
should
story.
be none, because even at the end of it, I was just like,
you were chilling, which
I was
me.
I was fine. I apologized to Oliver, and he was like, shit's gonna happen. You know, it's not always gonna go well. He was really understanding, which I feel like doing as many shows as he's done over his lifetime, he knows that things aren't always gonna go the way that we plan, and it kind of just we roll with the punches.
Seriously. But basically, I was dancing. I did like a little cutesy move. I kicked the lights off the stage.
And it wasn't one light. It was like ding, ding, ding,
all
ding,
connected.
ding, all of the lights.
You hear it. You go doof, doof, doof. And as they're falling,
the music is like woo. And then like during the sound check, they had us practice with the lights there and everything. And they were telling me like, please be careful with that space. And I've had like literally like a 2x2 square before. So when I was prepping C on it, I was like, we might have this like small area where I'm gonna like really ask if we can dance there, but I don't know. And so then we were testing it out when we got there, whatever, with the lights. And then it's like the one light that's lighting our platform up. And then once it goes down, they can't really fix it like mid-show. So at this one specifically, so
it was nuts. I even heard the crowd. Okay, so in that moment, telling you like what I'm feeling, I even heard the crowd going, ooh, ooh. And so can you imagine in the middle of your shuffle round, you see full body. We're up, elevated above Oliver's head, well above his head. There's nothing else to look at but the dancer. Well, of course, Oliver. But we're in front of everyone. It's just me.
She's dressed as a duck.
I'm dressed as a duck. But let me tell you, because I remember it to the T, like in my brain, I can remember what I was feeling and where I was looking. So I was up there by myself. I kicked the light and I remember continuing my freestyle. So the freestyle didn't stop, but I wanted to like break down and cry right there, just to be super honest, because it's terrible. It was like, I was so scared. There's so many important people there. And I remember doing the move where I did like a crisscross W step. But when I did that, I turned towards the back and I found Cici.
I remember that. I looked right at you, but I didn't know
was
what
so
had
scared.
happened.
She didn't even know
until like 30 minutes later, someone told me, oh,
Yeah.
like the lighting came up and they were like, the lights went down. And I had
Yeah.
no idea
And I
that anything
think
had even happened.
that in that moment, I knew what I needed to do. I knew I needed to not mess up my freestyle. I continued what I was doing, but I was so
You
heartbroken
handled it
at the
so well.
moment.
Yeah.
It was insane. I just kept dancing through it, but I was so heartbroken. I got down and I was so worried. And no matter what, I knew I had a job to finish. And so throughout the rest of the set, I did my job, but I was like on one in my head. I was crying after I was crying. But long story short, it was totally fine. And it was a lesson to be learned. And it was totally fine. But I remember just feeling so anxious.
We felt defeated.
Bad.
We were both like, fuck. Can't believe that.
In the freestyle up there, I didn't stop. And maybe we can showcase the video and all that jazz.
We should, because it's never been.
I kept going. And I think I was so proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
And now looking back,
she danced the whole rest of the show, which that could have completely taken her out. Because that was like maybe first 30 minutes in.
It was in the very beginning. I feel like it was still light outside. So that was a crazy moment for me, but I learned so much from it. And I did not freaking stop my dancing, because the show must go on. No matter what I'm feeling, you put on a smile and you stay professional. But Oliver was obviously great. The team was great. We worked through it. And that also just falls back on Oliver for being so amazing and supportive.
Yeah.
But that was a moment. And then my final story, I'll say this really quick. T78, last fall at Seismic, I was throwing up behind stage after my first round.
So throwing up.
Not necessarily because I was so nervous, but because I let my adrenaline go so much in front of me. I was screaming. My first round was nuts. I was letting the music take me, and I wasn't sustaining or controlling my own energy. So that kind of took a hold of me. So after that, I really took my breaths, slowed down my breath work, and I came back the rest of the rounds feeling absolutely amazing. But just returning to our point of how do you even sustain your energy, or how do you have that cardio? I just wasn't using my breath. I was being too crazy. Anyways, brought it back to earth, brought it back to being grounded, and everything was fine.
That anxiety that you get from like when you get down is intense too.
Yeah.
Yeah. From just like going and then coming off is really.
I can think of a couple of times where I was anxious. I think probably my first Bang Energy expo, because that was my first time being on, I mean, officially on stage. I was always on stages when I was little, you know, I had my own performances. But when I think about anxiety, I think a lot of the times when there's like a tug and pull. There's two personalities, right? Like there's the anxious side of you. I call her Giovanna. So sometimes Giovanna just comes forward and she just, you know, if I let her take the seat at the table, then
that's such a nice way to look at it.
Yeah. Then I get, if she takes the seat at the table, kind of like inside out, then my whole body gets dysregulated. I get really nervous. It shows on my dance. It shows when I'm start to shake. And this is for anybody who's also dysregulated. I think we all are at some point. But just having an identity for that anxiety space, because I do have an anxious side to me. I would say that I am an anxious person. When it comes to being on stage, I just know that when I know that Giovanna taking a seat at the table, I ask her to step aside, and I know that there's another side to me that's very confident, very grounded, very knowing. There's just if you're allowing that anxiety to take control and take the wheel of your experience, then it's going to show, and that's okay when that happens. It's part of it. It's part of like who you are, your wholeness. And then there's also parts where like it won't be as bad. You'll be a little more desensitized, and you just keep doing it. It's just that repetition of getting on stage and embodying, you know, the experience of like fucking first time.
Yeah.
There's this thing called the fucking first time. It's like FU, fucking first time, FFT. So like every first time is going to feel so nuanced. You're still building rapport with the experience. You're still building new neural pathways, having new experiences. You need to give yourself time to integrate everything. So if you're anxious or nervous, but you have that yearning to be on stage, just keep leaning in with your heart, keep leaning in with what your soul is telling you to do, and whatever response your body takes, accept it full in its wholeness, because that's exactly who you are. You're the full spectrum, and it's not going to be perfect. And that's part of the beautifulness, because then you get to embrace the moments when you're on stage and taking in the lasers, taking in the people's energy, being with a badass group of people to dance next to. I think that's actually my next question is, what's your favorite thing about performing?
Oh, that's so
Ooh,
good.
that's a great question.
For me, sometimes it's about the people. It's also the environments we've been able to be in. I really do feel so comfy and cozy here at Concourse or at Seismics, because it's Seismic Dance Event. And Kelly Gray herself is a phenomenal, like, legendary go-go. So I just feel I love getting pumped up, because I always love to look across at my partner. It's always been Cici a lot of the time, Sterling, of course. Last night specifically, it was Mars. And so I've just been like looking over at Mars, and we're looking at each other, and we're getting so amped up. And then we'll talk about it post round. We're like, oh my God, you got me so pumped up. And we're just like feeding each other live. So just taking in my environment really helps, and living in the moment, being really present and letting that take reins is just what works best for me, I suppose. But I think like the people and really taking in the environment around me is some of the best parts about what I get to do, what we get to do.
I love the high that I get from performing. I feel like from a young age, I realized that that was something that I like absolutely loved, to the point where I would like cry afterwards because I'm so happy. I'm like a super emotional person. So I feel like I carry that like anxiousness beforehand, and then when it's over, it's like either crying or like feeling so happy and excited. And it's like truly a wave of emotions that you go through when you like get up and are in front of people. It's like really vulnerable, one, but it's also you have to like step in and be really confident and really sure about what you're doing, your surroundings, whatever. But like even as a kid, I remember like my first solo, like I was anxious like I was at the Brooklyn Mirage and like crying to my mom all day. And then it's the way that I feel afterwards is like makes me feel so like just like I know that's exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, even if like the waves come like that. And sometimes I feel like that's why I get so like honed in and serious, or like my tummy is like doing flips, is just because it means so much to me. And it's really when I feel the most myself, is putting myself in front of people and just like sharing something that I love, like dancing. I love connecting with the music and just really like feeling like I have a space in a scene, and just like feeling like I have somewhere to showcase my dance and it's where I belong. I feel like I've been in a lot of different rooms and worked with a bunch of different groups of people in different communities and like different dance styles my whole life, that when I found where I'm at now and just like the community was shuffling, as well as like being able to perform and do it with different artists and festivals and stuff, it just feels like a really special place. And it feels like somewhere where I feel like I fit in, you know, like being like growing up doing like technical dance and then be like going to festivals on the weekends. Like I feel like could never find my place. And I feel like when I found shuffling, it was like I found my confidence with my dancing. And then I've always been a performer. So it was just like meshing the two together. I feel like when I step into a space like Seismic or Concourse, like these like 3-day weekends or whatever, I'm like leading with so much gratitude of like, I never knew where I was going to end up with my dancing. I just knew that I would be doing it as long as I could, as long as I was healthy enough to be able to do it. And so it just really feels like divine and yummy. And like the girls that I have set like side by side, like doing it with, and the boys, it just like feels so good and so special. So I feel like for me, it's just performing has like dancing has meant a lot to me my whole life, and performing going along with that, it just feels like it's who I am. And I'm grateful for any opportunity I have to share it. And yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'll echo that. I feel the same way. Just coming from a space, I didn't grow up feeling like dance was going to be my whole life, but I did feel like my expression was my whole life. It's like my life's work is just unraveling what that looks like, but also like that inner performer inside of me that like loves to explore more, and like finding those pockets where like I can emulate you guys and just the people that are around me, the go-go dancers. And like I love taking in the art that I'm witnessing and being able to transmute that in my own way, my own expression. I think that's my absolute favorite thing. It's like time stops, everything's fine. Like I don't need a warm up. I don't need like, once we got up there last night from Asano, like randomly, we were like, we had like what, 3 minutes to get up there, and that felt like this is why I train.
Yeah.
This is why I dance, just to get up here and feel the lasers like run through my fingers and the lights. And yeah, it's
It
like
really makes
euphoric.
like time slow down too. And that's what I was noticing last night. Like each round that we were doing, like it feels really like it makes you pause in the present moment. Cause it's like watching the girls get up and like watching the clock and like all the things. Like I just feel like everything like slows down, and it's just like a win overall for our community, like to be able to have those opportunities and, you know, going from like connecting on social media and like doing meetups at festivals and just like being able to just like bring it all together and put it next to the artist is just really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Yeah.
Sterling, thank you so much for having us.
having
Little
us.
bestie girl.
One last question.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and speak to your past self before you started performing, what would you say to her?
I'm gonna cry.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I would tell her to always continue to push forward even when people tell you no and people don't believe in you. I feel like with my dance journey, I've felt really lost sometimes of like, where do I fit in? Or I feel like I have like a gift that I love to, not you crying, you're gonna make me cry. I feel like I have this like drive and this gift that not knowing like where to share it or like where to go or who to train with. Why am I crying? So I feel like why?
So real.
Connecting with your like inner child is tough because I think myself along my own dance journey, I had to do a lot of like unblocking with positions I'd been in as a kid where I'd been told like I'm not good enough or I'm not gonna be able to make it somewhere, or just being treated unfairly is something that's really common. Like growing up as a dancer, it can be really hard to be in a room with a bunch of different people fighting for one spot or 15 or whatever, and I've like been through the ringer with like choreographers or experiences or things like that. So I feel like I would tell myself to just continue to keep pushing forward and to know that you're gonna fit in somewhere and to take in every single moment and pay attention more and not be so anxious, because sometimes it's like the anxiousness takes away from the experience that you get to be in. And I think that comes from feeling like I'm not good enough to be in the room or good enough to have the opportunities that I do. So I think it would just be to like believe in yourself more and lean on the other people around you for support, because people want you to win too, you know? So, and that you would make it really far and everything's always going to happen the way that it's supposed to, even if it feels really confusing at the time.
Absolutely. Same world with that. I feel like if I could talk to myself before all this crazy shuffle stuff started to happen, I would tell her that things are about to get fucking crazy, but remember why you do shuffling, because I feel like I've hit some walls these years where good and bad, of course, highs and lows, but you can feel misunderstood. You can be trying things for the first time. You can get pushback for that. You can get a lot of praise for that. You can get idolized. You can get talked about. You can think you have friends, but they really aren't your friends. And then you make new friends. And it's just so many ups and downs. But at the end of the day, coming back to my shuffling and remembering absolutely no one can take that away from me, and my style is my style. No one has to tell you how to dance, put you in a box, because us fighting that box and those boundaries is exactly what has put us here. And I just want to hug her and tell her that everything is going to work out as it's supposed to. And like the people that will be in your life will be. And the only thing that's going to change is massive success and growth. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It's not a bad thing to dance like you do. It's not a bad thing to wear certain clothes. It's not a bad thing to be an influencer while I'm doing all of this. It's so fucking awesome, actually. So just want to hug her. It's so hard. It's not easy. And it's done so much. And so I would just hug her and tell her, trust your process and don't let anyone tell you what to fucking do.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, I love that so much.
It's been a journey.
Yeah. I relate to everything you guys said. I would say the same thing. And I got you, baby. I would tell that to myself. Like, you're good. Trust yourself. There's so much that went on just from the time that we each went on our adventure of like where we are today. Like the timeline, I can just know by knowing you guys personally, I know the trials and tribulations you guys have been through. So
yeah, it makes me want to like go back and talk to y'all's kids, their inner child.
I know. Yeah.
I feel like that like helped us connect so much. Sorry, I never shut up. But
No, you're good.
like when I see Cici talk about like her childhood or like things that she's been through, I feel like I will cry harder than you will. And same with Stir. I just feel like you never know someone's experience of like what they went through in their life or what got them to where they are. And so I think just that like helped us connect a lot, just like being vulnerable with each other. And sometimes that can be so hard to just like, this is what I went through, or these are my own experiences or whatever. But it really made us so much closer. And I think just being in a community where people are always fighting for you to win instead of like being pinned against each other, you get so much further in that than you do.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
not
And for
working
us,
together.
it was like a tug and pull. Like when we're sharing these things about ourselves, it gives us a greater perspective on like how we react to certain experiences, certain situations, and like understanding like the things that we've been through allows us to understand like why we react to certain things, and that just having that tenacity with one another has really helped me personally to just grow internally and like look at the blind spots that I wasn't looking at before. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
All
so
the tears.
much. I love y'all.
So raw.
Love you,
real.
sir.
I love
Thanks
you so
for
much,
having
Jen.
us.
Where can people find you guys, Ciara, Cici?
People can find me at my main page, Ciara Castro _ and then Ciara Shuffles, and then my dance pages, my academy is Celestial Shuffle Academy, and my new studio is Austin Shuffle HQ. So all these places. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is just Ciara Castro, TikTok, Ciara Castro, Ciara Shuffles, and Instagram has like mostly all the profiles, dance pages.
Can find me on Instagram at Cici, TikTok, YouTube at Cici Stamper, and on my website, ccstamper.com.
Oh yeah, ciarashuffles.com.
Yeah. And what is something that you're working on that's exciting coming up that you want to share with the listeners?
For me, I have now co-owned and opened this studio in Austin, so I'm really excited I have my little monster of classes currently. I'm just excited to juice that up, make it more powerful, and finally expand on some passion projects that I've been wanting to do that I've really done in the cheer world, competitive things. So I'm really excited to bring that organized structure into shuffling and also pivot, connect more with online community. I've really been doing privates and some online classes recently, and so have you, which has been really fun. So pivoting online a little bit more, and then we'll see what else happens.
I've been really trying to work on my online community. I have an online beginner program that's going right now where we dance together every Wednesday. That's been bringing me a lot of joy. I teach a lot in LA, and I have for the past few years, but when I travel to festivals and stuff and I get to meet people, I'm always like, I want to stay connected. So I've been working on my online community, and I've recently fallen in love with music and songwriting, and I've been working on a lot of music with my boyfriend. And so I feel like I have my love with my shuffling and with the music. So hopefully those will collide in the near future and you guys will see something from me.
Yay.
Sick.
Exciting.
You will.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you,
sir. Love you.
Bye. Thank you guys for tuning in. All of the details for connecting with Ciara and Cici is going to be in the description box. And if you like this episode, make sure to message me and let me know. We like it when you share the stories that you embody through listening to us. So if anything resonates, please share it with us, each of it individually or collectively, doesn't matter. Thank you for tuning in, you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.